let's pretend this guy is you. Now, I'd say most of the audience here, if not to say all of the audience here, has a very important project that they're working on. And this project could vary from a photographic portfolio to an art piece, to a documentary, to a YouTube channel, or to a science project. Really, this could be anything. Now, you've been working on this for a while, and it could take to a couple years, to a couple weeks to complete. And since you've been working on this for a while, you know how much hard work this needs to be, because you rewrite the script so many times that it has changed from what it was before. You change one little bit because it wasn't working. You scrap that one specific bit that you wanted so badly to be in your presentation, but you couldn't add it because it wasn't working. And you're still mad about it. And finally, does this project seem weird? That if you share it with your close friends and family, they might not understand you, that they might not get you, that is wrong, that it's you and your project are in a little island across the vast ocean, and the rest of the world is in a giant paradise that no matter how hard you try, you can never get there. Listen, like many of you, I have a project just like that, and honestly, it's part of the reason why I'm up here today. Hi, my name is Renata Gomez. I am 15 years old, and I'm the author of my ongoing book, The Poison Youth, Book 1, The She-Wolf. Now, the process that it took me to write this book took me not 1, not 2, but 3 years to write. If you're making an essay for college or making a story or anything related to writing, don't beat yourself up. It takes a lot of effort to make what you're doing. Now, for most creative projects or projects in general, you need an inspiration. One of the biggest inspirations I had when I started out was the book series Amulet by Kazuki Buishi and the series Tangled by Disney. Now, this helped me ground my art style and create my protagonist, Lila Stone. Speaking of protagonists, for all projects as well, you need a protagonist. It could vary from you, your character, or a specific person you want to talk about. Now, some important questions that you need to ask about your character is that, do they fit in? Are they a gray character living in a colorful world, or are they a colorful character living in a gray world? Now, for most media that you see right now, which is could be series, movies, or books, there is a specific formula for making the main characters. And I'm going to explain to you right now. There's always the skinny white boy who is bullied and who no one likes, and he's probably very smart or something. And then one day he finds this magical artifact or a shiny new piece of tech, and then he becomes a superhero that he saves the day, and at the end he saves a world catastrophe. Then there's the best friend of the main character who is this chubby kid who has a childlike wonder, and he's usually used for comedic relief. And then there's the crush of the main character who's this beautiful girl with a mysterious past and just fights very well and stuff. And that's basically it. This formula is made to feel relatable to the audience. But is it really relatable? I am going to ask you a question and you're going to think about it. To whom do you relate the most? The sunshine hero who gets everything they want, or the moonside villain who, after getting pushed too far, they reach their breaking point? If my gut and intuition are correct, maybe not, but I'd say most of the audience here chose the villain. Please raise your hand if you do. But why do we always choose the villain if they're the bad guys, the antagonists, the obstacle for the heroes to reach their ultimate goal, either being saved the world or someone they're close to? Well, that's because villains are made to feel more real, with more real actions and reasons why they're evil than heroes do. I mentioned the formula for making main characters, but there's also a formula for making a good villain, and not whatever Disney's making right now. And they must be evil. Yes, of course, they must be evil, but the reason they're evil is not because they came out of the womb one day and just said, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be evil. No. They needed a motivation, and that motivation is what makes them feel more real. An example of this is the character Loki from Marvel. Now, for those who don't remember Loki, he's a frost giant, and he was not a god like his father, mother, or brother. So Odin was the only one who knew that he was a frost giant and had a strained relationship with him. But when Loki found out that he was in fact a frost giant, he basically went to Odin and said, "You see me as a monster, right? Because I'm a frost giant. I'm not a god. I am a monster, how you see me, an evil. So if that's how you're gonna see me, a monster and evil, that's how I'm gonna be." And that's how he became one of the most iconic villains ever. Now, what was I on again? All right, the protagonists. Now, for any project as well, the protagonist could change, could either be the eye shape, the hairstyle, or completely changing who the protagonist is. I mean, recently, I had an essay outline to do for class, and let me tell you, I had to restart that paper 3 times just to have actual sources for it. Even though I had to restart that document over and over again, I still wanted to make something that I was happy to write about. And that thing was mythology. My initial idea was to talk about the book Journey to the West, but if you don't know, that book is 2,000 pages divided into 100 chapters, divided into 4 volumes. It was kind of hard to find sources for it. In the end, I still got to talk about Chinese mythology, and that's pretty big for me. But just like that paper, my protagonist went through a couple changes. As you can see in her first design, she looks sad, she has scars, she's crying, her clothes are torn, she's chained up, and her proportions are wrong. I cannot see this drawing without wanting to go to that sketchbook and changing everything I have. However, in her newest design, she's happier. Her hair is cleaner, the scars are there but barely visible anymore, and she has a better sense of clothing, just like her creator. And she looks pretty without a care in the world. Now, something I specifically want to talk about of her newest design is about the tail and the ears. Now, in her first design, her ears are coming out of the top of the head, and that's not biologically accurate, and the tail is coming out of the back somewhere. But in her newest design, the ears do come out of the ear hole, and they have more shape, while the tail does come out of the tailbone, where a normal tail will usually go by. And don't worry, they're friends now, I think. Are they? Now, what does it say about me as an artist? Even though I marked this character back in 2020, I still want her to change and to grow, to be something and someone better, and to grow up. Because growing up is a real pain in the butt, but that pain can teach you a lesson that you can either share it around or throw it away. Speaking of lessons, now we go to the actual messy part, the writing process. Hooray! Now, this process is more hard to explain than from the drawing process, because it took me from watching many video reviews of movies and shows, reading a lot of books, and reading a lot of fanfics, honestly. And let me say that it also took me a lot of time and a lot of process to actually find my writing style. Because the part that I'm going to recite to you right now is, I am not joking, one of the first things I wrote for what is now the prologue of my book. I am not happy with this. What was I thinking when I wrote this? Why, 11-year-old me, why? Anyway, here's what I wrote. I have black hair as the night with white streaks as pale as snow. I'm also very pale. I look like a ghost sometimes. Freckles cover my cheeks. I got them from my father. But since I'm a half-wolf, I look very different from other girls. I have wolf ears coming out of my head, and I have the tail of a wolf, which is also as dark as my hair. My eyes are from a wolf, and my nose is from a wolf too. I'm not happy with this. Why? Because I described the character before we actually know what her story was. Because writers out there, please know that if you're going to describe a character before telling the story, don't. Because you want the readers follow your character and getting to know them as they go on in the story. Because we don't learn that Harry Potter had the same color eyes as his mother until chapter 5, and we do not learn that Harry Potter was a wizard until chapter 4. If I keep talking about Harry Potter, I'm gonna get to spoiler territory, and most of the audience here haven't read the books yet. and also a writing tip that I will give to someone is do not repeat the same information over and over again, or don't get too descriptive about a specific setting or character. Because let me tell you, as a reader and as an author myself, that just bogs down the pace. That doesn't have a good taste to it. Because you want the readers hooked into your writing, right? And to make them feel like they're interested in writing, in reading your paper or story. Now, if you're like, but Renata, you mentioned that your project made you feel isolated. Very good for paying attention. Now, here's a thing that I'm going to contradict like what I said earlier about you and your project being in a little island across the ocean. Well, let me tell you, there are boats down there, boats full with people who want to learn new things and have new ideas. And one of those ideas is you and your project. Now, it may be small at first, but that's how it always starts. You need to show the people what you have done. Show them what you have learned. And you should also show the cringy stuff, but only with the people you trust the most. Trust me, you do not go around showing an animatic you did 2 years ago when you barely knew how to make poses. And this could also help you see how much you have grown. Because my writing style also has changed, because at first it was more descriptive, but now it's more metaphorically deeper, and if I do say so myself, majestic. Something that Laila will say eventually is the following. Sometimes we feel warm as fire, but the trust that someone builds around you to shield you from the ice storm, that's the best warmth you can ever give to someone. So you have an idea, and you want to share it with the world. That's the first step, and you're halfway there. But you need to put in the effort to make that dream, that idea, that motivation, that inspiration, that research into a reality. So after this event is over, if you want to do something like that, you need to get to that desk and write those ideas down, or get to that computer and start writing that script, or get that camera and start recording yourself, or go outside and take those pictures, or get that sketchbook and start making those sketches. It won't be perfect the first time, the second time, the 10th time, or the 100th time. You're human. It's normal to be bad at something when you start out. And why is all of this relevant? Why am I telling you all of this? Why am I telling you this story about me, my book, my idea, my character? Why am I telling you all of this? Because me being up here today is just a metaphor for you and your dream. Because I never thought I'd be up here today, telling you a story that I wrote about, saying, hey, I'm a fictional writer. I never thought I'd be to this position, but here I am, standing here telling you all of this. Now, if you want to make that, there's something also that you need to understand. This is the lesson that I had to learn when I had to grow up and get that pain in the butt. And that lesson is that not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will like you or your dream. Not everyone will support you, and not everyone will be there for you. But the people who are, the people who were there since the beginning, the people who are the newest, the people who are always at your beck and call, the ones who will always fight for you, those people, you need to keep them close. That warmth, you can never be replaced, you hear? That thing, you can never change, that replace, ever. That's the biggest treasure and reward that you can ever give to someone. Thank you.